Hello, my name is Clark Brecka. I'm an instructor at Design Engine, where we teach a wide variety of tools. Design Engine is also a product development company. Today I'm going to model a spring using Style, the Creo module called Style. Typically, this spring, modeling a spring inside of Style is, Style is considered non-parametric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can make Style parametric in hindsight. So what I'm doing is I'm modeling two rectangular edges that define both X and Y. Now I'm holding the Alt command down to right click, left click, and make a reference to the other curve. Look, notice there's only one dimension on this rectangular box, and essentially what I can do is drag the box around to make the other box go with. We used to call this a lattice structure back in the late 90s. We don't call it a lattice structure anymore. We'll call it a infrastructure, underlying geometry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a Style spline. Now this is holding the Shift key allows me to build a parent-child constraint within the Style curve itself. I'm hitting the middle button, and if I hit the middle button again, it would evoke this tool here. So I'm going to hit the middle button again, right, and just kind of toggle between the two. Now I'm just double clicking on the curve, and it evokes this curve edit function. I'm in Creo 10. So if I left click on this end, I can ratchet a green curve around. If I right hold down on the green entity, I can tell it to go perpendicular to one of these other datum planes. Now technically that's not parametric per se. The Style curve is maintaining a parent-child constraint, but look, I can double click on the curve and change its X and Y value. Here, let's turn on the coordinate system so we can see it. Notice the coordinate system is green, red, and blue. So we say RGB, X, Y, Z. So notice the X is always the red direction. That's been a thing since monochrome monitors went out of style. Creo, it's new. So if I edit definition on the Style curve, left click on this thing. So this is a sort of traditional, a non-traditional kind of thinking that you can make parametric. If I can type in a number here, it's technically parametric. But that's not the traditional sense. When we think of parametric geometry, we should be able to left click here and get the edit function. Notice when I left click, I don't get the edit function in Style. So I'm going to redefine the curve, double click on the entity, and then push out this variable so that it's parametric. As a design firm, we might have a company say, don't use Style. And if we by accident use Style because it's so powerful, the company could just double click on the curve and type in, this is the traditional methodology for being parametric. I should be able to double click on that thing and literally change the 44 to 66, hit Control G, and it regenerates. I'm going to go ahead and push out the other entities. So this one, I have to say free. Once I do free, I can pick fixed length and push out each one of these three entities so that it can be manipulated outside of Creo using the edit tool. Pretty cool. So Style can be made parametric. Now I've got parametric in this case, Y. I've got parametric in this case, in Z, but I don't have it in X. So I simply think of a workflow that would make sense for me, and I'll just come down at the base and draw some sort of parametric entity, ultimately dimension it any way you choose. A lot of people been using Creo for years, don't know kind of what's all cool new basics in Creo. You can hold down on that dot and tell it to go up to a reference. Now what I've got is a parametric entity in its distance relative to the box. A lot of new things in Creo that senior level engineers don't leverage, which is why we have a Creo Learn to Design course that's a week long. All right, so now what I've done is I've used my shift key to snap this endpoint to the entity, the surface entity. I'll just go ahead and hide it. You know it's there. One might color a transparent color. I'm just going to edit definition on the curve. Look how I've got a parametric function now. Now this whole exercise is to make a parametric spring that is flexible and robust. So what I do is I create a sweep upon this thing. If you don't pick variable section, it won't work. So on purpose, I'll leave that off and come back and add it later to reinforce that it needs to be pegged. So now I've got a length and theta. So I'm going to go ahead and drive a theta. Here, I'll just make it a little shorter. I just posted a video similar to this on Instagram. Now I'm going to go ahead and spin it up like an auger pushing grain up a tube. All right, so I'm going to pick that one later. I'll go down to, notice I'm in a sketch of a sweep. I can also jump out and go Tools and Relations. I'll make SD3 spin up. So instead of doing the math, I prefer to do the algebra. I'll just type in 360 times how many revolutions I want and multiply that by trajpar, which is a indication inside of Creo math that I want to follow a trajectory, 0 to 1 trajectory. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the sketch, check out of it. Look, it drove to 0, but it didn't drive because I didn't pick variable section. Now I'm spinning up some geometry. What's cool about this is notice how there's no break at north and south pole of the curve. So typically when you build a sketch in Creo and check out of it, right click on it, notice that there's a north and south hemisphere of a circle. Notice this one doesn't have that. So that could be a strategic advantage if you're trying to get something to pattern or what have you. You can use this kind of intelligent solution. Let's see. Now I'm going to sweep the wire form geometry across here. I'll just take a circle. The diameter is insignificant. Now I can hide the style curve, hide the revolved sweep, the helical. And look, I've got Y, Z. Of course, I can go straight down with it too. It shouldn't fail. What else do I have? Here's two X's to control. And the style curve has all that parametric. So I've got elevation, angle, and length of the green handle inside of style. I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider coming to Design Engine for training. Most of our classes are over Zoom unless it's the classes at your facility. Thank you.